All right. Okay. Hi, everybody. It is great to have you here on this last day of March 2026 for our Family Connection Night. And we're really thrilled to have you here with us this evening for our Making Time with You session, where we are going to do some interesting things, talk about some subjects that, have come up here and there, but we have not devoted a whole entire presentation to it yet. So I hope that everybody enjoys. And if you have any questions, of course, feel free to put that in the chat or, just you can raise your hand, you can come off of mute, and let's just have a lovely conversation tonight. So, before we get started, I'll just say a quick hello from me. My name is Kira Orndorff, and I am the project manager here at Microboards Ontario, where I help support families in setting up and incorporating their microboards. So I'm sure I recognize a lot of faces and a lot of names on this call, and it's lovely to have you here. And for those people that we don't know, please feel free to reach out afterwards if you have any questions or if you'd like any more information. And Karen Bell is here as well. Karen, if you want to, I know we didn't plan this, but if you want to just say a quick hello to everyone, then we'll get into the introductions with everybody else shortly.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight. It's great to see so many old and new faces. My name is Karen Bell. I'm the executive director at Microboards Ontario and work with Kira on supporting families to incorporate the microboards and some other stuff that's not as interesting. So,
It's all very interesting, but thank you for the intro, Karen. So what we're going to get into tonight is our peer mentors are going to introduce themselves in a moment, and then we're going to talk quickly about caring for yourself. And Wendy Newbery is going to lead a redactive poetry exercise, and then we're just going to have a conversation, amongst our peer mentors. We're just going to be talking about a few questions that have come up, and anybody is welcome to chime in with their experiences or anything they feel comfortable sharing. So thanks again, everybody, for being here. Then there will be time for questions afterwards as well. So tonight we have with us Wendy, Carole, and Alice. And Kathleen, if you feel like giving a quick intro, but no pressure if not. So Wendy, if you wanted to just start and introduce yourself, and then Carole, Alice, and possibly Kathleen, that would be wonderful.
Okay, sure. Hi, everybody. It's really nice to be here with you tonight. My name is Wendy, and I live in Kitchener. I have two daughters. Our eldest daughter has a microboard, which was established in 2021. And so we are, like you, on the journey of microboards and eager to get to know other families who are involved and also to make sure that we can make this microboard experience successful for our daughter Evie and for our family and for the participants in the microboard. As part of my my life, my work at this point is as an expressive arts facilitator. I work in a partnership with my friend Rachel Tanner, and we have a company, a small business called Stepping Stones Expressive Arts. And we have been doing through the pandemic and now a lot of caregiver focused activities. So I just have found that that art really brings a lot to the caregiving experience, and I'll touch on that a little bit later. But right now, I'll pass it on to the birthday girl, Carole Vink.
Thanks, Wendy. Hi, everyone. My name's Carole. I live in Innerkip, which is just a little town outside of Woodstock. I have two daughters. My oldest daughter is development delayed, and I have a younger daughter, two years younger than Nat, And she is married to Jordan, and we have two beautiful grandkids. Natalie has had a microboard since 2019, and it's been an amazing journey, and I can't wait to share some more info with everybody who's willing to listen. Your turn, Alice.
Well, thank you. I don't have a birthday, but my name is Alice Mainland. My husband and I, we live here just outside of Stratford, Ontario. We just initiated our microboard recently, and we had our first board meeting recently, but we've been at this for some time. One of the things that I'm going to be so excited to talk about are some of the things that we do as a family and as myself as an individual to try and care for ourselves, because it's so important. If you don't take care of ourselves, no one else will. So, I look forward to this conversation this evening. And Kathleen.
Hi, I am Kathleen Gifford. I live in Ingersoll, which is also a little town outside of Woodstock. um, a little bigger than Innerkip, though. Um, I do have a birthday, it's just not today. I have three adult children, two daughters who are married, gave us beautiful sons-in-law and beautiful grandkids, five of them. And our youngest, David, lives with his dad and I, has had a microboard since 2017, I believe. And so I have been very involved. So, in support of what we're doing tonight, I have been very involved in quite a few different boards. And a little while ago, a few weeks ago, my life blew up a little bit. I got this horrible cold that I just couldn't function with. And I had to bow out of 5 engagements in a day and a half, which caused me to just reassess everything. Um, and I needed to take better care. So I bowed out of a lot of things except what I really needed to do. And that left a little bit of room to come tonight. Um, I didn't know until yesterday or maybe the day before that I was going to be able to come. I think it's important to say that because we keep going full steam ahead. We keep building that microboard and helping our kids and loving our grandkids. And there are very few times anymore that we put ourselves first and take good care of ourselves. And so just for that message alone, I thought it important to come tonight since it had just been made new to me again.
Thank you, everybody, for your introductions. The more the merrier. Kathleen, we're happy to have you. I know your name is not on the slide, but it's always a lovely surprise when all of you are able to join us. So thank you, Wendy, Carole, Alice, Kathleen, for being here, and thanks to everybody for being here as well. And I just wanted to also thank everyone for contributing. There were a few questions during the registration. So thank you. We've got a lot of great answers here and on the next couple of slides. To the question, when you hear the phrase caring for yourself, what comes to mind? So, of course, everything is shared here anonymously, but these ones on this slide here were the core themes, kind of like the most common answers that were given. They showed up again and again, obviously using different words, but I want to say that I think that almost everything here definitely connects back to time and energy and just having that capacity to keep caregiving. Like this is what is top of mind for everybody. So these are the main things. And then I also felt like there was a strong, like very emotional layer about needing permission and self-compassion, not just that time, but also allowing yourself, that to take that time for you, which is what we're going to be talking about tonight. So, I just wanted to also mention that a lot of people also talked about like a strong connection to health. And there were mentions of not just physical health, but, mental and emotional as well. So self-care does not appear to be separate from caregiving at all. It is definitely all tied in together. And it really seems to be about having the capacity to continue supporting the people that you love in your life. So, there were some other answers that people gave as well. However, you know what? I'm just going to go back a moment. Does anyone have anything to add? Or any questions or comments, or if you were a person who wrote one of these in your registration form, feel free to speak to it. Why did you say that? Or if anybody wants to say anything about these words. And if not, we can go on to the next one. So a lot of people also gave examples of what self-care meant to them. So not only, the time and the energy and looking at it from a health perspective on the last slide, but there are also, a lot of answers like this. And I think that this is beautiful because it just goes to show, self-care is often simple and quiet, and it can be accessible, and it doesn't have to be this big extravagant thing. All of these are things that are simple, that we can, if possible, take a little bit of time out to do during our days. So they are small everyday moments, but they really, really matter. And especially when life gets busy and things get difficult, it's about trying to reclaim any small moments that may already exist. And I also wanted to acknowledge, that at the same time, there was a very, real and honest side to all of these responses. So we know that there's caregiving pressure and family conflict and strain and guilt that people have mentioned here. So, there are things that make this really, really hard. And we know and we recognize that you're trying to take care of yourself so you can keep showing up for other people in your life. And I really think that this is it's a holistic viewpoint on these past few slides. Everybody's answers were so real. So I just wanted to thank you very much for feeling comfortable enough to share with us. And then I see there's also a comment in the chat. You need to learning to delegate and to have people you trust to whom you can delegate. And that is so true. So Alan, if you feel like starting a conversation about that, or if anybody, Wendy, Kathleen, Carole, Alice, if you want to talk about how you've had to delegate, that would be awesome.
I just think that's the point of a microboard, is that you've been on point for however many years or decades, and now you are taking stock of those people who love your child and who you trust and who you can begin to delegate some of these tasks to, because a lot of these tasks are not necessarily our strong points.
For sure. Kathleen, if you wanted to comment on that. And hi, Anita. We'll get to your question in a moment.
Alan, you're exactly right. But I found that getting a microboard doesn't magically disperse the duties unless you bring intention to the delegation act. So I think My world was busy. We got a microboard. My world got busier until I could just trust and let go and enjoy the gifts in the microboard that the people brought to be beside my son. But that didn't happen just automatically. That took some delegation, some intention to the delegation.
Thank you for that point, Kathleen. Hi, Anita. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
Good. It's nice to
Um,
see you.
I just wanted to add to that whole delegating. I recently set my microboard up for my daughter, and just like what Kathleen said, it doesn't happen magically. I do have the directors, the 5 directors, and just recently I spoke to my facilitator, telling her that I was just feeling overwhelmed, like I feel like I was still doing everything, just because that's just naturally what we do as moms. We take on everything. And so I didn't know what would be accomplished with talking to the facilitator, but I felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders, and she went through roles that could be done in the microboard and who I thought could help with those roles. And then we're going to set up meetings with those people, those directors, and get them on board and train them to do the different things that I needed help with. And yeah, so she was kind of taking on the role of helping me, asking those people to help, because even though the directors on my micro board were people that I love and care about, and love and care about Madison, I have a really hard time asking for that help. So the facilitator was a really great resource to use to help me. And I wasn't expecting it. I don't know why, but I was really pleased after that meeting.
Amazing. Yeah, glad to hear that you reached out to a facilitator and that it's been so helpful. I know, delegating can be quite difficult. And somebody else in the chat said to let go from being a control freak, which is fair enough. So parents who have a micro board, do you want to comment a little bit about that as well, Alice? Okay.
I have to jump in here. One of the things I've always said is making sure the person with the skills or the interest in something are the individuals that take on that role and responsibility. Each one of us brings a gift to whatever circumstance we might happen to be in. But, let's find out what are their gifts and how can they help our microboard be successful. So how does that gift match up with roles and responsibilities? We can do it all, but we're not going to be here forever. So how do we make sure that, somebody is able to take on the housing component, or who's good at, we're a landlord, so who's good at making sure property management's there. Who likes doing that kind of stuff, because if they don't like it they may not want to be there. So it's having that ability to have those candid conversations with individuals and find out, what do they like to do. Maybe they like to go axe throwing. Hey, your child may like to go axe throwing too. Scary thought, but perhaps they do. So yeah, it's really, really important that we think of what are their gifts and how do they add to the circle, instead of you having to add more juggling to keep everyone involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. And that's a great point. Working with a person's strengths and especially with what they are interested in doing will also help to, kind of make more time for you, which is the theme of tonight, so that you can, as Alan used the word delegate earlier, you can, comfortably delegate certain things that you would normally have control over to other people as time goes on. So thanks, everybody. Yeah, Karen.
I know you can't see everybody, but Carol's trying to get in.
Oh, thank you. Okay, Carole, go for it. I can only see a handful of people on my screen when I
Oh, that's okay. That's
presenting.
okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Um, First of all, to everybody who joined us tonight, I have to say that you have to know the people, the ladies that sit on this microboard, um, really do have a hoot. Like we really get along well. We um, understand each other. We're all very unique. Our microboards are different. And I think that's what's really important as well, is for everyone to know everybody's microboard is going to look different. And as far as delegating and or just as a whole. And so for us, what we did was we've before we created a microboard, I always had a vision for Natalie to be in her own home. I wanted her to have a house, to live a life just like her sister. Very different, but I wanted her to have a fulfilled life. So it was up to us to try and create what that was going to look like. I've always hired my own staff. And so presently we have 7 part-time staff. Very sad to say that the longest member, she is moving to Scotland in June. So she will be sadly missed, but is very much staying in touch. We've connected via these photo frames that sit on your counter and all sorts of stuff. So anyways, my staff are, I'm going to brag because they are absolutely incredible. When Alice talked about finding out what gifts the microboard members have, we have done that just kind of naturally with Nat staff. So everyone has their gifts, they bring it to the table. It's Nat is living a true fulfilled life. The one support staff, she has stepped up and has offered to help me with the HR component, which I always did, as a lot of the parent would do. So I guess if I step way back, when Natalie was first diagnosed, going through all the testing and everything, it was a part of us that just we died, we mourned. We mourned the fact that Nat was not going to have a life like we expected. So, you're going through all that journey. And I think as an older parent, I think, what could I have done differently? As far as delegating, it is with the staff, it is incredible. So I've delegated, I outsource the payroll now. Um, uh, yeah, exactly. That was huge. She does T4s. She does. She was a friend of the business that my husband and I had, and now she has offered. She said, yeah, she would take on the microboard, which was something new for her. So she's in a learning curve as well. And as far as the main support staff, she has taken over dispensing Natalie's pills, doing charts, doing so many different things that implements with the house. As far as the microboard, what we did when we first created the microboard, it was a hard call. It was hard on me because I was reliving everything all over again with Natalie that we went through. However, I felt that in order for the microboard to be at their best and understand, because a few of them are Natalie's age. So growing up with Natalie, they didn't know what we went through or Natalie went through. So I just went through everything with Natalie's life. And the shock on their faces was telling me it's the right people to have on the microboard. Now, I'll be honest, right now, it's still a lot of on me. I do some of the HR, not as much. but I've learned to let go. You want to do it? Oh, please, thank you. I don't need to be in control of that. And I think it's something, I feel it's something that parents have just gotten into, is they have to be in control of everything. They have to be going to those IPRC meetings, IEPs, whatever it may be. We had to make those arrangements. So we were always in control. We knew our child the best. But now as we're aging, or I'm aging, it's awesome because I don't need to micromanage. I have faith in what they're doing. We have a very open communication. And I got to say, life is really good now. I am in the process of doing a couple further steps with ensuring. I guess my husband and I always go by the theory, if we get hit by the bus today, what's tomorrow going to look like for Nat? So we have everything much in place. So we're working on those next steps. There's always a next step, but we're not rushing through it. We're making sure everything is done at the right time. But it's definitely the microboard that has really changed for us.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing all of that, Carole. And having those relationships, having those people in your lives to help that you can delegate to, really does create more time for you. And with that, Wendy, now can you create more time for all of us tonight? I don't know if everybody, well, you're here, so you received the email that I sent yesterday with the link, and also talking about the items that you should bring today. So if you have, actually, Wendy, why don't you describe the whole exercise? I will hand it off to you. Thank you.
I will do that. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that my business partner Rachel and I have learned about offering caregiver art sessions. But before I get into that, I'm going to just say that for the next part of tonight, we will need you to have in front of you some page with text on it. It could be a book you don't like. We're going to mark these things up. It could be a book you don't like. It could be a page from a magazine. It could be a brochure that has some text on it. It could be a newspaper page. You need a page with text on it. You need a pen, and you need just a page to write on, like a blank page to write on. So hopefully you have all those things. And I'm just going to say we're in the middle of a big thunder boomer here in Kitchener, so I hope it doesn't impact our connection in any way. But yeah, so we have over the years that we've been doing caregiver programs, we've got so much good feedback, and people have said, basically even taking an hour to focus on like a mindful art project of some kind, whether it's creative writing or whether it's watercolor painting or whether it's collage, whatever it is, that it feels like a break. And so parents have told us over and over, parents and caregivers, it feels like I had a mini break. It feels good for my soul to do something creative again. What we always stress with people is that making art was a very early form of expression for all of us, and many of us got pushed away from that over the years, and it became something that was seen as childish, was seen as something we shouldn't do if we weren't, quote, good at it. And I would argue that all of us have a creative drive in us that really needs to be responded to. And I think that's part of taking care of ourselves. So when we do art together, we stress, there's no judgment of other people's work, but most importantly, no judgment of our work, self-judgment of our work. So sometimes that negative voice will creep in, and we just have to kind of push it aside, because everybody can create. that kind of reminds me, the picture that's in front of you, there was a dad in our group on the weekend who was just totally captivated by needle felting and just went to town and got lost in it. And he's not creating a work of needle felting that's going to hang in the Louvre or the KW Art Gallery or anything like that. He's having fun. He's doing it for himself. He's learning a new media and enjoying all of that. So I think that picture really kind of brings it home. So we focus on play, we focus on exploration. And one of my favorite mentors in this area is an artist named Michelle Cassou. She says, think about when you are painting or creating something, you're not making a painting, you are just painting. And so there's a difference, right? You're not starting with a preconceived idea of what you're going to do. The true play comes when you just let the paint lead, or let the words flow out of your pen, and just let them do that and know that that's okay. One last example is that many people keep a journal, and you wouldn't ever think of keeping your journal and then going and showing everybody the next day what you wrote in your journal. Art can be the same way. You can make art for yourself. It doesn't have to be put up on the refrigerator or or framed or given to your best friend for their birthday. It could be, but it doesn't have to be. It can be just plopped in the recycle bin when you're done. So the process is really more significant than the actual finished piece. That's some of what we've learned. You can go ahead to the next slide, Kira, thanks. So tonight we thought, what would be a good way that we could play together on a Zoom call? And I wondered about using a fun activity called redactive poetry, where we're all going to be poets. This is a really short activity. It'll take just a few minutes, and it'll give us a chance to dig into something. It'll give you an idea about how easy it is to find a way to play. So if you like this, you can do it any other time on your own, and it's kind of neat. So in front of you, you've got a page of some kind with text on it, something that it's okay to mark up. We're going to do 4 things tonight. The first step is we're going to look at that page. Now you could have a manual for your old Grand Caravan in front of you. You could have a book about arthritis. You could have a Nancy Drew book. It doesn't matter what's in front of you. Anything is going to be fine. You're going to circle words that grab you. So don't ask too much. Don't analyze them. Just circle words that grab you, intrigue you, and let's just start with that piece. We're going to take maybe 30 seconds or so to do that. So quickly circle those words. In this process, if you find a phrase rather than a word that you want to use, feel free to circle the phrase. And when you're done that, you can just take your pen and cross out any of the other words that you're not using. And now your next assignment, am I going too fast here? And now your next assignment, when you're done crossing off the words that you're not using, is to take the words that you've circled and see if you can shape them into some kind of a sentence or short poem. We don't, anything you write tonight does not need to be shared with others, right? So don't feel that anybody's going to be judged on this. We're not marking them. But we will invite people maybe to share if people want to do that. So let's see what we can do here.
Come on, Wendy, I want to share mine. I'm pretty impressed.
Okay,
This is
Alex.
fun.
You'll be our first one then.
Oh yeah.
Just take another minute to finish up our poetry. Hey, friends. That was your 5-minute art break. Maybe 6. Um, Sometimes some really interesting things come out of this kind of little poetry exercise. People have sometimes some aha moments in the process. Sometimes people look at what they wrote and think, what the heck, where did that come from? And so all of it is good, and because that's how we play. So does anybody want to share either a poem or a sentence, something that really grabbed them through that exercise?
Oh, well, I'll do it since I kind of put my hand up. Um, just first off, don't know if oh no, you won't see it because it's just a poster is what I have, and it's a poster about an event that I ran that happened to be on my desk. So thank you for this because this was so much fun. So I just looked for words that I liked, and I was amazed that I was able to put it into a sentence. Is it says local seed growing without error appreciated. Who knew?
Sounds
Thank
like
you.
a
That
great
was
headline,
fun.
Al. Yeah, that's
Oh,
awesome.
oh,
Anybody else?
I'll go.
Okay, sorry. Is that Kathleen?
It is.
I can't see anybody, so let me just. Okay, go ahead, Kathleen.
So mine was from a book on the history of trains. Fast forward the future. In the past 30 years, we had to adapt to survive. Purpose-built networks, successful, emulated, um, innovation led to impressive back roads around congestion.
Oh my. Now, if you were going to take it to the next level and do a little doodle around your piece, that'd be interesting to see what would come of that. Thanks, Kathleen. That's great.
Okay, I'll jump. Oh, okay. No, it's okay. Go ahead, Teresa. Or Therese.
I just put these words together in a sentence and I was a little surprised at how lovely it sounds, actually. Not my, whatever. To serve is a gift. How wondrous and distinguished and praiseworthy when performed with love. It elevates and purifies the soul, causing a transformation of character.
That's
That's
beautiful.
beautiful. You didn't write
Wow.
that ahead of time, Therese, did you? That's gorgeous. Okay. I
Oh,
love
that's
that.
great. Lovely.
Wow. Wow.
Mine's a few sentences, but I took mine from a travel magazine. Calm coves in quieter south, French and Italian traditions, embrace Pigeon Island with overwater bungalows, barefoot with the jerk.
Oh,
And
just
it
feel
was
that.
the jerk was part of, I think, where was it? The jerk shack. So, but I
Oh,
just circled the jerk. Sorry.
oh, that's fun. Thanks, Carole. Anybody else want to share?
It's Colette here. I can share.
Hi, Colette. Great.
Hi there. I am brand new to this. I'm just venturing out on doing a microboard for my middle child, just a background. So I appreciate all this wisdom and guidance that I've already heard in this past 45 minutes from each of you. I know it'll be a lot of work, but that's my main goal, the thing that I want to get started as soon as possible.
Great.
I'm a numbers
Well, welcome.
person, not an artsy person, so it's whatever. And I chose the gardening flyer out of Canadian Tire because I love gardening. So bring on your spring gardens. Today, I'm just visualizing my gardens. I'm anticipating the joy of my gardens. I like hard work and building gardens. It puts peace in my soul to see my gardens. Garden soil is key. Same with fun flower seeds and plantings. The birds will come, The butterflies will come. The beautiful garden will soon come.
Ah, lovely, lovely. Yeah, probably starting a microboard is like growing a garden, I'd say.
Yeah.
So Gary and Sandra, go ahead.
Okay. I don't know if we're both going to go, but I chose a page out of a cat magazine and I've been watching Wendy's cat go back and forth. And the article was called Navigating Life with Humans. And Sean doesn't have pants on, but that's
Sorry.
okay.
But I do.
All right, so the article was called Navigating Life with Humans. In the beginning, it may seem difficult or strange or overwhelming. Natural history is coexistence. Communication fosters and builds. The key is to share positivity and treats, and that is a beginning.
Right on. Positivity and treats. So good.
I have one here. I took it out of a car restoration magazine because I love
Great.
cars. And I kind of put it down here and then I thought it kind of almost seems about microboards. So I'll read it to you. It says, "We're getting to work. We know what we are doing. Have patience. It's not fun above all else, but it should be fun. Remain patient."
Okay.
Super.
I have one about, I think, retirement. I don't have the title of the article, so I just started circling words, and then I like playing with words a little bit, so I just kind of tried to put things together that seemed to sort of make sense. So
Great.
starting off with a phrase that I liked at the very, very end, it said something to look forward to, doing aimlessly, moving anomalies, upkeep habits, mortgage routines so strongly, spanning deterioration, source pooling, contingency, volunteering whirlwind families, fortunately. Just all nonsense, but somehow it speaks to me.
Oh, yes, and all kinds of possibilities, right? With those words. Wonderful. Thanks.
Is there anyone else who would like to share? You don't necessarily have to share what you wrote, but any comments on how you felt doing the exercise or thoughts about the words that you may have circled? And this just goes to show that everybody is super creative, even if, Colette, you mentioned you're a numbers person, but you still were able to create a beautiful poem from the gardening section in a flyer. So yeah, I think that art is really accessible to all of us. And Wendy, I'll let you take it from there. You are the
Okay, thanks. Yeah, it was wonderful to hear this this creative writing tonight. And it's so amazing when you think of where you start, like with a train magazine or you know, it's just it's so neat what you can do with words. I would challenge each of you, invite each of you to, before you put your piece away, maybe do a little doodle in response to it somehow, before you end your day, and hope that you will enjoy doing that too. Maybe just following your pen around the page. It's a lovely, mindful, peaceful activity. Thanks for playing along.
If I could make a
Thanks,
comment,
Wendy.
Wendy, I really loved how you said we all have a creative drive that needs to be attended to. That was really profound for me. I don't consider myself a creative person, and I've just started attending a crafting class, and I didn't even take anything with me for the first two until somebody handed me some bead painting. So I've been picking up on that, but enjoying the company of the women there. But that particular comment really strikes me. All have a creative drive that needs to be attended to.
Well,
Thank you.
thanks, Therese. I think, we see that over and over, that this is a form of self-care, And also, when there is so much spinning in our lives and in our world, sometimes words just can't help us express what we need to express. And so even moving into art with paint or with pens or collage or whatever the medium, it's a way of responding to some of what's happening around us in the world without having to struggle to find the words, which are sometimes so difficult. So I think it's really important for all of us to challenge ourselves in that way and to play. Really, it's about play.
This was fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for your comments. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I did too. I was so excited to try this. I've never done redacted poetry before, so thank you so much, Wendy, for walking us through all of that.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate that. As the thunderstorm starts outside of my place. So thank you, Wendy. I feel like I know when we were discussing this session, we had a number of different creative exercises that we were contemplating doing. So I feel like perhaps later on in the year, we can invite you back, and everybody who's here, you're welcome to attend, and we can maybe use something, do an exercise without words and see what we come up with.
Sounds like fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So for the last little bit, I'm going to invite everybody to just jump in if you have any anything you want to talk about, anything you want to say. But we are going to have a little bit of a conversation stemming from our initial chat and stemming from the exercise we just did with Wendy. Just talking about how we can make more time for ourselves, given everything that's going on at this point in time. And Wendy, you have a lot of people saying thank you. That was great in the comments, just so you know. So I'm going to just open up the conversation with a question, because we're all so busy and there is a lot that needs to be considered prior to taking a rest. But anybody who wants to answer this, can you tell us about a time where you realized that you actually really needed to take a break? And how you went about doing that? What might have been the warning signs, and what happens when you don't take a break? That's a lot of questions, but if anybody wants to answer any of them, feel free.
I can respond to that. I remember at one point that lots has changed in the way services are delivered, of course, but back in the earlier times in our family, we had what was called a family support worker, and she was kind of my lifeline. She was so great. And one time she asked me, "How will I know if things aren't going well for you? How will I know if you're really struggling?" And I thought, first of all, I thought, I am so glad to be challenged by that question, because I need to answer that question for myself. But I did have to think about it. And what I said to her was, if I lose my sense of humor, you will know that I'm tanking. Like I typically can find reasons to chuckle. And if I can't, then there's a good sign that that things are too overwhelming. And at the time that things felt really difficult, I had a dream that, like a vision, a hope, a wish for our family, that we would be able to continue to homeschool our two girls. And we had started into that process, but it became difficult for a number of reasons. And I had to give up that dream. And I feel like, the family support worker came, talked with me through that, and helped me to make a plan to move beyond our dream for homeschooling. And I feel grateful to her to this day for that conversation. And there was a number of parts, but one of the parts was just reminding myself that this is a different way. It can still be an okay way. And I find that that kind of situation has come up a number of times in our family where, I look at both of our daughters, but mostly Evie, uh, who uses a lot of services and needs a lot of support, that, I have a vision for how I really feel something should work for her, and realizing it doesn't seem attainable in our community, in our culture right now, with the politics that we have. And so I can feel a time coming again where I'm going to be in that situation of feeling like my vision may need to morph somehow. So I think I learned a lot from that very first experience. And as I'm talking out loud, I'm thinking I should really share this with the microboard because they will be part of that time when we probably have to make a decision that's outside what we thought we would have to make around, around care or housing, and let go some of our dreams. Yeah, so I'll let you know how that goes.
Yeah, best of luck with everything, Wendy. And Diane, you've got your hand raised, so feel free to.
Hi. I I I don't know if this really answers the question that you're asking, but what comes to me is that in my early 60s, uh, I just really felt the need to not be a parent for my only um, definition of myself. And so I started saying to people that at 65, I'm going to retire from parenting. And of course, everybody laughs at that, and I know why they laugh, and it's funny, but I did. I think I did, and I'm still doing it. I'm still retiring from parenting a few years later. But it made a big difference for me because it was sort of redefining myself. Um, I think of myself because I didn't just want to be a mom for my whole life, and I knew that my caregiving responsibilities were going to continue well into my, so-called retirement years. And I hadn't been in the workforce really in any significant way for years and years. Um, so what it meant to me was that I was starting to morph into something different. And so the way I see it is that I'm not parenting anymore. I am still my two children's probably primary support person. And I am their mom, of course, but I'm not doing it in the same way. I'm seeing them as adults, and I'm supporting them to live their best adult life as much as I can, and I'm trying to delegate and trying to pass things along. And I would say that that has made a huge difference. It was like over the course of years, but if somebody asks me what I do now, I say I'm a writer. So I'm writing, and I did about more than a year ago started, and other people might be interested in this as well. Started joined a kind of a Zoom group called Pajama Writing at 7:30 in the morning, and you wouldn't think that that would be something that you'd want to do at 7:30 in the morning, but some people are publishing books, and other people are just doing their morning journal. It's a really great community, and I felt like I was really claiming a space for myself before the day really gets going. I'm putting that first. So anyway, that's kind of my little bit of journey on that front.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. That sounds quite fun. Waking up and just writing
Yep.
whatever comes to mind, whether you're publishing something or just journaling. I think that's a really cool idea. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
And if anybody wants to know where it is, I can put it in the chat.
Yeah, just go for it. Sure. That's a good idea. Yeah, Anita, hi. Oh, you're still on mute.
Am I on mute? No.
You're
Okay.
good now. Yeah.
Okay. I know when my daughter was young, um, I think I had an aha moment about the whole caregiving thing. I was with my aunt, my godmother, my aunt in the car, and I started crying with her. And I told her that I didn't want to be a mom anymore. And she said, well, I don't think it's that. I think you just don't want to be a caregiver anymore. And that to me was a big aha moment because Madison was my one and only child. And so that's all I knew. And so I figured that that was me being a mom. And so now that she is living on her own in a house in a great organization. She's been out of the house now for 8 years. And I actually feel like I'm finally a mom now because now I can pick her up and I can take her and do fun things and drop her off. And if there's anything that stresses me out, then I don't want to do it. I don't want to take her out to fun places if she's really wet and I have to be suctioning her all the time. I don't want to take her overnight anymore because I can't stay up through the night anymore. But these were all dreams of mine of things that I wanted to do with her, but I realized I had to morph all of that as well. And so I don't do the stressful things anymore with her, and I can actually be a mom, and it's just amazing to actually realize that.
Yeah, thanks, Anita, for sharing that. Wendy's given you some hearts. Oh, as is Kathleen. I love these little graphics that come up. Thanks,
Yeah.
everybody. Would anyone else like to share regarding that question, or I can definitely move on as I've got a little bit more here to discuss with everyone. So Kathleen, Wendy, Alice, Carole, what would you say, just to get this part of the conversation going, what kind of gets in the way of taking care of yourself, and what helps shift that, if anything?
Um, Again, just because my name begins with A, I'll go first.
Thank you for volunteering.
Well, one of the things, it's so important because if you don't feel good, it's hard to make other people feel good. And not that we need to do that, but it to me it's so very important. But one of the things I do is I've gone back to teaching because that's something that brings me joy, and it's working with kids in schools and seniors on gardening. And one of the things they say about summer, everybody feels better in summer, right? Well, my theory is there's two reasons for that. You get to put your feet in the grass and your hands in the soil. So, and it's actually scientifically proven. So, with that theory in mind, that's what brings me joy, and that's what I look forward to doing.
Very nice. So, using your strengths and things that you enjoy, like teaching and gardening, helps you to take care of yourself.
Right.
Very nice. Thanks, Alice. Seems like gardening is a popular theme, and we are coming up to the spring, so I think there's some excited people on this call. Would anyone else like to share what may get in the way of taking care of yourself and what helps shift that, even if it's just a change of season or weather, or, it doesn't have to be anything massive?
I can go next, Kira.
Sure. Yeah.
I think for me, what was the changing moment? For years I couldn't sleep, just could not sleep. Your mind's going. I'm sure everybody's been in that boat what's happening that day, what's happening tomorrow. And instead of learning a technique to calm me, to get me back to sleep, I'd get up, do laundry, work on whatever needed to be done, time after time. So I was very sleep deprived, as any other mom. Like, that's nothing new. But over time, it really affected me. With Natalie as well, not walking till she was 5. She was a very solid little girl. So she was on one hip, and then, as moms do, then there's the baby carrier with the other one in hand. And in time, it just played havoc with my back. So I have a lot of back issues. So as I'm trying to navigate going, okay, between work, home, and everything, you really try and juggle. You have a lot of mom guilt, everything. But the defining moment that really started helping me be me again was having the microboard and knowing that I have the microboard there long after we will not be. And then started sleeping better. And then I actually joined the Southgate Senior Center, and I go into the wood shop. So that's where my happy place is.
Yeah. Amazing. I would like to see some of these creations, but I'm happy to hear that you're sleeping better. As I'm sure we have all read about, sleep is so important for well-being. So I'm happy that some of that stress was relieved and that you're well on your way to some peaceful rest.
Yeah, thanks. I think the key too is learning to let the crap go. There's some things beyond your control. People might say things to you. Maybe it's a family member, or you're stressed out about a worker or a resource teacher or whatever it may be, is letting those little things go. You can't control what they're saying to you. You can try and control how you react to it. That's, for me anyways, was a real big factor as well. So I'll be quiet and let other people talk.
No, thank you for sharing all of that. Very important. So you have a creative outlet, and I think it is good to remember, while sometimes it can be really hard to try to let those little things go. I think it is a good reminder. So thank you for bringing that up. Anybody else?
I had some thoughts about this too, because I think it's an ongoing conversation with myself, and I do find myself getting overwhelmed often with things, and then that just leads to like a leads me to a grinding halt. I don't seem to be able to sometimes get out of that overwhelmed place. But what I was realizing is that I really do rely so much on my social connections and my friends. And so if I sit and say, oh my gosh, this was a beautiful day, you should have gotten out for a walk. I know one way to make sure I get out for a walk is to make a date with someone to do that. And so, to meet at the trail, or even just to walk in my neighborhood. And I have to keep reminding myself of that to make it really work for me, I need some company, some accountability. Like I just need somebody with me. It makes it way more fun for me. So so I'm going to try and remember that.
All very good points. Having those social connections and those relationships, I feel, is really the basis of moving forward with a microboard. It is all based on relationships, but even, for other things like accountability to get your behind out of the house for a little walk, right? So I think that is a really great piece of information, and a good reminder as well. So thank you, everybody, for sharing. Does anybody on the call want to share a way that you think would help you to take care of yourself based on everything that you've heard or based on something that you're already doing?
I want Alan to share. He just wrote in the chat about being a bass player.
Oh, cool. That's amazing. Yes, Alan, let's hear it. What's your favorite song to play?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, whatever one we're learning learning at the
Okay.
moment is fun. I've been playing. I was recruited into this band about, I don't know, 8 years ago or so, and um, it's just one of the children of my friends there said, "Oh, you're in a dad's band," which is right. We're playing old music and covering it, but I think what's therapeutic for me and for the others is learning new songs. Uh, Developing your skills on the instrument a bit more. But it's all done in a very low key way. Like we don't take ourselves too seriously, but we do have to perform in front of people from time to time, maybe 3 or 4 times a year, and so that kind of keeps us on our toes. So yeah, it's very I just find getting away for those few hours once a week is just that. It's getting away. So it's developing some long term. I've had a long term interest in music, so
Sorry,
it's good for
sorry to
that.
put you on the spot there, Alan, but I just um, s- I what I loved about what you wrote is it looks like just another commitment, right? But it's really something that sparks your passion. And so it's carving out time for that passion. Sorry to put you on the spot like that.
Well, all of us on the group think of it. We talk about it openly. It's well, this is music therapy, and it's just therapeutic to learn stuff like that, and
Yeah.
then sometimes you get to play so for an audience, and that's therapeutic in some way as well, I guess.
Yeah,
So,
for
yeah.
sure. Awesome. Well, maybe one day we could have a little music session with Microboards Ontario if you wanna practice some tunes with us. That
Well, yeah, no.
TBD.
There,
We'll
there,
we'll see.
there is one more thing though, I should say, and this is something I've also been involved with. Every Friday night, there's a community song circle. We call it the Jam, and you just show up, and if you got some songs to perform, you can do that. But mostly, you're just leading a group of people in a song, and then it goes to the next person who does the same, and you play along. And what's great about it is you've got people with a huge range of abilities, and people who can be, brought it back into music. Often that's what's happening, and so it's just a great community builder. So also good.
For sure. And a pattern that I'm noticing is, while everybody has talked about things and you're taking time for you, you are also with other people. So, how beautiful is that? I feel like having those social connections really can lead to relaxation and just, feeling more comfortable with yourself too. So,
Yeah,
thank you.
that's really important.
Yeah, yeah, having others there is great. So, thanks, Alan, for sharing that. Nikki, you've got your hand up.
Hi.
Hi.
Just what everyone is saying is just so inspiring and just so everyone I think has their own niche or something, even if not yet discovered, about how they can bring some compassion to themselves and give themselves some break, if you like. And I think one of the things that is a barrier to me tends to be time. There's no time for that. There's no time for a break. There's no time for me to sit down. I've got to keep going. And also that, I think Wendy mentioned it, that feeling of overwhelmedness. But what I have found has worked for me relatively recently, I mean, in the last 6 months, I think, is I've actually taken, I found a particular author who has written many, many books. I found it through my husband died a few years ago, and he was a huge reader. And I discovered in his books a particular author who writes detective novels. And I thought, oh, I'll try one of these. Well, I absolutely got hooked. So, what I do now, and I'm just ruining the day when I come to the end of all these series of books, but what I do, I try to, as soon as either I wake or my alarm goes off, I go down, I make myself a cup of tea, and I bring it back to bed, and I just read and get totally into it because I love it. And, some mornings it's 15 minutes. Some mornings I sneak in a bit longer. I have to be careful because I could actually read all the time because I get so into it. But I've really found that it's just brought a calm to the day that I can close the book and then get up and think, oh, I had those minutes to myself with my tea and my reading. And some mornings, I found too that maybe I haven't read much but I've just taken that time to sit while I'm awake, just early morning, and I get those few moments before I start my day. And I think that take making the space and time for a few moments has yeah, it's just really worked for me in terms of it's become a habit now to do it. And yeah, so just thought I'd share that.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And we did have a question. Who is the author, if you don't mind
Oh,
sharing?
right. Well, it's an author called Peter Robinson. Right, Wendy is nodding her head. Yeah. He lived between Toronto, well, and Canada, and England. So, and he writes very much in a way from his novels that I'm following are based in England, and I was born in England and lived in England my early life. And so it brings back, I think there's a certain piece of nostalgia that gets me as well in those too. Yeah.
For
Peter
sure.
Robinson. He died two years ago. So the series is finite, yes.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you are getting to enjoy all of his books and that it brings, having your tea in bed in the morning brings that sense of calm and a really nice start to your day. So thank you for sharing that, Nikki. So, Alan has recommended Nikki or to everybody to try an author called Louise Penny. You know Louise? Okay, okay. Amazing. Thank you for the recommendation. Thank you so much. So, we are nearing the end of our time together, but I am going to ask one final question for anybody who may want to answer. So how have you noticed taking your care, excuse me, how have you noticed taking care of yourself impacts the way that you show up for your loved one or for your family member? Or I can change that a little bit. What does it look like if you are at your best? What would that require? Do I need to ask it backwards? What would it look like if you were at your worst? Which is fair too if you want to answer it that way. Thank you. I can cope better and have more energy. That's great.
I will answer. If I'm at my best, I can plan. And if I can plan, we can have more fun. If we can have more fun, it's engaging, fulfilling, and all of those things can happen. But if I'm not at my best, boy, planning and, organizing and all of those terrible words, hard to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally fair. So planning and organizing gets a little easier if you're at your best. And Wendy, I know you were saying earlier that when your worker asked or when your friend asked, how would they know if you're not at your best? You said if you lose your sense of humor. I think that's a really good question to ask ourselves as well. So I'm going to be thinking about that one for a while and see. But did you have anything to add to that, Wendy? I know you're off mute, so.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking back to play, and I was thinking about how play can help to pull us out, to pull us into maybe a more positive spot. But I was thinking also how sometimes when I'm really stressed or overwhelmed, I forget how to play. And so, and that ties into my sense of humor. It ties into, you know, how I see my caregiving. Like on a good day, it's kind of the best part of my life. I feel honored to be able to provide care for my daughter and it's great. And then other days it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so ready for a worker to walk through the door right now and give me a break. So much of it is balance and also kind of acknowledging how what I do and the different ways that I do it really ties into my gifts, just to make sure that I'm using my gifts in some way. Because I think if I'm not using my gifts, then I think life is hard and more boring and more stressful. And so just thinking about, what am I gifted with and how am I using that today? Even on a very ordinary day, I think that's an important thing to kind of stay in touch with.
For sure. Yeah, that play is so important. And I hope that everybody tonight got a little bit of a sense of that from the exercise that we did. I certainly enjoyed that. So thank you so much for sharing that. And there is one comment in the chat about this as well. So on good days, it lets me be present to my son in relationship instead of being locked into caregiver mode, which can feel transactional to him and me. So, yep, I see a lot of people shaking their heads to that comment. So thank you. Or nodding their heads to that comment. Would anyone else like to answer this last question?
I think for me, when I'm physically not feeling well, the thought of having Nat come over for a visit or for a weekend exhausts me. Like I'm just done. It's every second is a challenge, but when I'm good, we get into a lot of shenanigans and we just have a blast. So it's important for me to find that balance and yeah. So it's last few years have been challenging, but it's definitely on the mend. I think with any parent, you have your ups and downs. It's just to keep moving ahead and figuring out something different that's going to work. And I think that everybody that's here tonight, like, congratulations, because you guys are here, you're present, you're trying to make that change and you're sharing your experiences. And I think that's extremely important. And it's just about parents helping parents get through the little navigations. And so it's been an awesome night. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you as well. And thanks to everybody who's here. I hope that you found this hour and a half that seemed to fly by relatively like a lovely conversation. And we really want to continue to grow our community and to continue to get to know everybody who's on the call tonight. So please do stay in touch. We have a number of different ways that we can do that, and we will be hosting more family connection nights as time goes on, because we do think that, sharing our experiences, learning from one another is so, so important. So thank you everybody for your time tonight. I'm just going to go through this very quickly. And you can go to our website. There's all this information on there as well. But we do have our online workshops. We have our peer mentors. So Wendy, Alice, Carole, Kathleen, there's the website there. You could go on, and everybody's stories are online as well as their email addresses. So feel free to reach out to them if you would like to discuss anything. You can set up any time with them that works for both of you to chat about whatever may be coming up for you at that time. We also have our newsletter where we let you guys know of new things that we'll be doing or any information that is out there. And Karen and I are always happy to meet with everybody and to schedule a meeting to talk about setting up a microboard in particular, but also really whatever other resources that you may need. So thank you again, everybody, for joining us. If anybody has any questions to ask, we've got a couple minutes left. Now is your chance. So I'm going to open up the floor for any questions. Yes. Hi, Therese. Oh, are you just off mute? Okay. All righty. Okay, everybody. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm just going to leave you with one final question for the week. But before that, I wanted to thank Wendy. Thank you so much for walking us through that beautiful exercise. We look forward to having you back for more in the future. And thank you to Wendy, Alice, and Carole and Kathleen, who has had to step off the call. But thank you, everybody, for sharing, for being here tonight. Thank you to all the people who are on this call. We really appreciate your time, and we hope that this hour and a half, you really felt like you had some time for you. So thank you. And I'm just going to leave this question with you. What is just one small thing that you can do this week just for you? I hope you guys have a great week. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Carole.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.